We have a small but mighty contender who once knocked out an opponent twice their size in boxing. Listen. Listen. I see you. Representing the Pakistani American community once again, an old school romantic in a cynical world. Let's welcome Sufi Malik.
Hi.
Hi.
I want you guys to close your eyes and think of your first crush ever. And think about the way that they smelled and how you felt. My first crush in 8th grade was Puerto Rican. She was 5'2" and she had curly hair. Her name was Sarah. And I was so in love with her. I somehow became a gum connoisseur because that was the best way I could find to interact with her. So I would go to the deli in the morning before school and I would get double mint. And then she would walk into class and I'd go up to her and I'd be like, hey, do you want gum? She'd go, yeah. And I was like, okay, bye. Nothing happened there, but yeah, it was nice. It was nice while it lasted. I was walking home from school one day with my friend Deborah, and I guess like people at school were talking and saying, oh, I think, you know, Sophie likes Sarah, and I was like, okay. So she stops me and she's like, hey, do you like her? And I didn't really like think about it. I knew I had feelings for her, but I didn't really know what like and love was. So I said, yeah, I do. And she told me that it was wrong and that I should like boys. And so we just walked home and it was quiet the whole time. And she wasn't my friend anymore. Fast forward freshman year of high school, I somehow fall in love again, this time with a Dominican girl. She also had curly hair, and we became close, and we somehow ended up in my mom's living room where we were making out, and I got caught by my stepdad, who eventually snitched on me and told my mom. So, and I knew a conversation was coming up with her. Her and I were close at the time. So I'm getting ready for school the next morning and she's sitting on her prayer mat and she asked me to come over and sit down with her. I'm like, okay, all right, fuck. I got caught, whatever. And she tells me that being, like, having the feelings that I have are okay, but acting on them is haram, which means sin. Right. And then she continued to like justify it by telling me a story about her best friend in college named Savia, who she was in love with, but she was describing it in a way like, oh, she was just my friend. And she was like, yeah, like, I just wanted to hang out with her and like hold her hand and like she was my best friend and, you know, we'd hug and cuddle, but I never had sex with her. I never wanted to like kiss her. But when she got married, I cried so much and I miss her even today. And I was like, okay. I think the story is doing the opposite of what you needed it to do. Yeah, I think if anything, that just like affirmed me being gay. I moved out when I was 17. I wanted to be independent, and also it just got to a point with my mom where we just weren't seeing eye to eye. Because I'd come home from hanging out with my friends and she'd be like, why are you hanging out with boys and coming home at 10 o'clock? And I was like, I'm gay. And she would kind of just pause every time and just stare at me, and then the conversation would be over. And then we'd have the same conversation again. So I moved out and I set up my own room and I painted the walls blue and I splattered green on the walls, and I thought that was fun. And during that time, I really felt my dad's presence. He's not here anymore and hasn't been for a while. And I remember going to Queens, and I went to this like craft store with my best friend at the time, and I found this like really cute globe that I could hang on a hook that was connected to the ceiling. And so that was the last piece that I put when my room was finished and I had all my furniture. And I took a sigh of relief and I just laid down. And when I looked up, the globe said, "Dad says hi." And I thought that was kind of bizarre, but it was very comforting. So yeah, I eventually, after I moved out, I moved again, and I moved 3,000 miles away to California to kind of grow and figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And during that time, I ended up in a long-term relationship, and it was a interfaith relationship. So yeah, we somehow went viral, and I was outed during that process. Like my past relationship was politicized a lot. Like my ex was Hindu, South Asian woman, and I'm Muslim South Asian woman. So yeah, that was a lot to deal with. I feel like I lost my adolescence during that time, and I really had to grow up. And then a lot of people started looking up to me, and I felt like I had to be this perfect South Asian gay person that represented this grand love, and it was just so much fucking pressure to be robotic and smile and post on Instagram, and it was just a lot. Anyways, I ended up moving back to New York, and I reconnected with some family. During the process of being outed, I lost a lot of people, and there was a lot of grief involved in that. But you know, I bounced back, so I came back to New York, and my long-term relationship ended, and then I lost even more community that I've made in the last 4 years. So yeah, lots of loss in my life. Yeah, this past year, like 2024, was not nice to me, but during that time, I felt my dad's presence again throughout the year. And he doesn't come in my dreams often, but he did come once. And he didn't really say anything, but he was kind of just there, and I feel like his eyes said a lot, and it was really comforting to see him there. And so I got this tattoo. His name was Nasser, and it's the letter N, so I keep him close to me. Yeah, I've had a lot of things happen to me in life by getting caught and being outed, but I decided this year that going forward, I am going to tell my story the way that I want to. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. I know you have such a large following on Instagram, you know, or even your social media. You can already feel like you're under a microscope, so thank you for speaking, you know, and telling your story. So, yeah, you're a star. You're a star. All right, we have two more storytellers. There's a guest one.